hauen ab! Sie hauen ab!
The swastika, the Nazi symbol of murder and genocide, saves lives in John Rabe. It's the film everyone in Germany is talking about, and it's our top story here on Kino, the German film magazine. John Rabe was a German businessman and faithful Nazi who saved more than 200,000 Chinese civilians from being slaughtered by the Japanese army. The unbelievable but true story takes place in Nanking, 1937.
Sie glauben ja gar nicht, wie lange das gedauert hat, bis Sie das konnten. Nicht lang genug, offenbar. Der grüßt immer noch mit links.
Nicht links. Nicht links, rechts, rechts. So.
John Rabe isn't very likable at first. An arrogant German who's lived in China for nearly 30 years, he's head of the Siemens factory in Nanking. It's 1937.
Rabe is a Nazi party member, admires Hitler, and yet he's also a great humanitarian. He saves lives and has great moral courage. How does that fit together?
These contradictions are at the heart of the film John Rabe. The title role is played by Ulrich Tukur, who's just been nominated for a German Film Award. Back in 1937, when Japanese troops attacked Nanking, most Europeans fled. John Rabe stayed and saved the lives of 250,000 Chinese. The swastika flag of Nazi Germany, Japan's ally, protected them.
Someone who wasn't a heroic type at all became a hero. Of course, vanity is involved. He's suddenly faced with a task and he fulfills that task. He grows into the role and becomes greater than he actually was.
Director Florian Gallenberger has turned the true story of John Rabe into an epic historical film. With a €17 million budget, it's a major mainstream movie with an international cast, including Steve Buscemi. Gallenberger used historical footage in his film, wanting to present history as authentically as possible. Murder and expulsion at the hands of Japanese soldiers. To this day, the Chinese haven't forgotten the rape of Nanking. The Japanese have yet to acknowledge it.
This is a bit like the Chinese Holocaust. It was a genocide that deeply wounded the Chinese soul. It's a national trauma.
So the production had to tread lightly. John Rabe is the first German feature film shot entirely on location in China. Gallenberger fought for months to get the necessary permits, negotiating with several censorship authorities.
Luckily, both the propaganda ministry and the foreign ministry saw that we were making a film about a German figure who had a certain position during a historical conflict, and that we weren't taking the side of either the Chinese or the Japanese, but wanted to make a historically accurate film.
The film sticks to the facts. With a few allies, John Rabe created an international protection zone to save the civilian population.
Soldiers are not permitted to enter.
We guarantee there will be no weapons stored there, no defense structures will be built, and no soldiers will be harmed.
The National Committee will see to the supplies of water and food within the zone.
Amid the death and destruction, Rabe created an island of life. But there were skeptics among his Confederates.
23,000 people on the first day, that is incredible.
The zone's only planned for 100,000.
So do you want to create a safety zone and then after 3 days put up a sign, closed due to overcrowding? Come back tomorrow?
If you put 20 people in a boat that can only carry 10, everyone will go down.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, after 27 years in China, may I tell you, if there is room for 100,000 Chinese, then there's also room for 200,000.
With German thoroughness, John Rabe notes everything that happens in his journal, up until his return to Germany.
Nachdem diese große Rolle erfüllt hat,
After fulfilling this major role, he returned and was briefly arrested by the Gestapo, who took away all his papers. He always wanted to tell what happened and that one had to do something. He distanced himself from the Third Reich and somehow kept on. In the end, he died in poverty, almost starving to death.
Fast verhungert.
The film John Rabe aims to make a piece of history accessible to a large audience. Sometimes its broad-stroke approach makes it seem little more than a sentimental history lesson. Still, it's an important cinematic contribution towards remembering the past.
Goodbye, celluloid. The future of movies is digital. Movie theaters around the world are throwing out their noisy film reels and scratchy prints and replacing them with digital hard drives. Germany lags behind in the digital movie race. But in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere, two German film nuts are showing audiences what the future of cinema looks like.
Belzig is a small country town an hour's drive from Berlin. It's a peaceful place with just 11,000 residents, and it has one of the most modern cinemas in Germany. The Hofgarten might not look grand, but its projection equipment is state-of-the-art. The owners, Sven Andresen and Andreas Sönger, are pioneers. They've invested in digital technology, even though it costs more. The high-definition pictures are crystal clear, and the sound is tremendous. The two chose Belzig as the location for their theatre because it was so remote.
We looked at the map and checked out how many cinemas there were. And in the area around Belzig, there were none. There was just blank space. That's why we chose it. We figured we wouldn't have any competition.
Andreas Sönger rarely has to deal with old-fashioned film reels either. It's all digital. Adverts, previews and movies are all on the huge hard drive. Just type in the command and it's showtime.
The film is on this, in various languages, with or without subtitles. It's a great advantage to have the different versions available. That's not an option with analog film. With celluloid, you need a separate copy for each version. This way, I'm flexible. We can show a film in the original language or some other language.
It costs €1,000 a month to lease the projector.
The advantage of digital is that there is no loss of quality, no deterioration, as there is with analog projectors. The complicated mechanical parts wear out, or there are scratches and dust on the film, so the image gets worse and worse with each showing.
But the benefits don't come cheap. Sven and Andreas have already invested €850,000.
We've divided up the work. My partner is here the whole time, and I have another job to help pay off the cost of building the theater.
The high cost of going digital has prevented most cinemas in Germany from making the switch. Theatre owners, distributors and state film funding agencies haven't agreed on how to finance the conversion. But they'll have to act soon, because more and more films are being shot with digital cameras, like Star Wars Episode 2. .3D films are also becoming popular, and they can only be screened with a digital projector. The Hofgarten in Belzig has bought a supply of the special spectacles the audience need to enjoy them. The cinema is drawing crowds from far afield. The greatest fans of 3D have been children, but now blockbusters for grown-ups are being released in 3D as well. Without the glasses, the image is blurry, because what's projected onto the screen is actually a composite of shots taken from two different perspectives, one for each eye. With the glasses, as if by magic, the image is clear and three-dimensional.
Voll cool. Totally cool. It looks so close.
It's fantastic when everything looks like it's really going to fall over. That's what I like the most.
It's so realistic, as if you're right in the midst of things. It's like you're standing right in front of them.
The Belzig theatre owners don't regret switching to digital and 3D.
If the cinema is to survive as a cultural and social meeting place, the technology has to keep pace. Otherwise, people will say the picture and the sound are better on their big flat-screen TVs at home. We have to catch up and outdo so-called home cinema. We have to maintain our lead.
So wie es ja gerne beworben wird, eigentlich irgendwann den Rang ablaufen kann.
It'll be some time until Sven Andresen and Andreas Sönke make a profit. But they've already made quite an impact. Nowadays, people in Belzig go to the movies 4 times as often as the average German.
Put down your 3D glasses now. It's time for our shortcuts. The best in new cinema in bite-sized bits.
Moskau.
It looks like love.
Möchten Sie nicht doch ein kleines Glas Champagner?
Bloß nicht, danke. Ich kann das Zeug nicht ausstehen. Ich muss jeden Abend so viel davon saufen, dass ich hinterher nicht mehr stehen kann. Neulich war ich wieder so blau, dass der Taxifahrer dachte, er kann auch noch mal schnell drüber steigen.
Das ist ja übel.
It's an unusual love story between unusual characters. Director Alexander Adolph's previous movies focused on fraud and deception. His new film does as well.
Der ist ja wie für Sie gemacht.
Frank plays the tough, successful executive, but is really a con man.
Ja? Ach, wegen der Probeaufnahmen? Nee, die sind gecancelt. Ja, manche Leute sind eben Gemüse. Born to lose.
Ich bin die Fritzi. Und wie heißt du?
Mein Name ist Prinz Klaus Hensling.
Dr. Rotenstein.
Müller. Dr. von Stein. Von Weizsäcker.
Only the prostitute Tanya sees through him.
Also, wie heißt du und wer bist du? Ich habe die ganze Zeit gehofft, dass du kommst.
It's a touching tragicomedy about the search for love and recognition. Even if truth is always relative.
Toll. Richtig toll.
Also wenn Sie mir die Kaution im Bar geben, dann können Sie noch heute den Mietvertrag unterschreiben.
Echt?
Und spätestens in 14 Tagen hier einziehen.
Boah.
Danke.
To join the local gang, the Suburban Crocodiles, you have to be brave and survive the initiation.
Hab ihn! Er ist am Dach, er ist am Ziel. Jetzt ist er ein Krokodil!
Christian Ditter's film is the second to be based on the novel of the same name for children by Max von der Grün. As with the first, made in 1977, the tone is laconic.
Dafür kommen wir alle in den Knast.
Nee, Eltern haften für ihre Kinder. Die kommen in den Knast.
The film is set in the present day, the here and now. I look at our actors jumping around in the breaks and hear what they talk about. I'm happy we're so close to that pulse.
Kurt is paralyzed from the waist down, but he wants to join the gang. Being different and belonging, that's what it's all about.
Alter, was macht denn der Mongo hier?
Hey Spasti, was machst du hier?
It doesn't matter if you're big or small, fat or thin, paralyzed or whatever, or if your skin is a different color. Just be who you are and be honest and honorable and perhaps show a little courage. Then anything is possible.
The gang learns to accept and respect Kurt, and he becomes more and more self-confident. The climactic chase scene may be slightly over the top, but Christian Ditter's message shines through.
Tony Riccardelli is a freelance professional killer. He loves his work, but it does make it hard to meet the right girl.
Ekelhaft. Du hast es ihr gesagt. Ehrlichkeit ist die Basis jeder Beziehung.
Then he sees her, Julia, who works in publishing. To win her over, the killer tries to become a writer. He tells her about his day job. She thinks he's kidding.
Richtig, ja, Riccardelli.
Wissen Sie...
Dann sind Sie Mafia-Autor. Ich meine natürlich Auftragskiller.
Auftragskiller, Mafia-Autor. Ist doch irgendwie alles ein und dasselbe, oder?
Director Sebastian Niemann was inspired by American and Italian screwball comedies from the 1960s and by the music of that era.
Oops.
The title translates as, "Murder is my business, baby."
Enrico.
Wenn ich Sie kurz miteinander bekannt machen darf.
Ist das eins von den Feuerzeugen, die aussehen wie eine Pistole? Danke.
It's good fun, even if some of the gags are predictable.
Können Sie noch einen Schritt nach rechts machen? Mille grazie.
The Berlinale Talent Campus is an incredible success story. The idea is to let young filmmakers learn from the best in the business. The Talent Campus started 7 years ago at the Berlinale, but has since gone on the road. We stopped in at the first Talent Campus in Mexico.
A walk through the historic center of Guadalajara, Mexico's second largest city. Matthias Walter Knoll, director of the Berlinale Talent Campus, wants to use his know-how to lend a hand to young filmmakers here. Mexico is one of Latin America's most important film markets. The Talent Campus aims to help up-and-comers get a foot in the door.
We want to make it easier for filmmakers to connect to networks. What we do in Berlin is great for everybody involved, but it's not much help if, when you go home, you no longer have a chance to do something in your region. That's what these campuses abroad are for.
60 people from Latin America and the Caribbean have come to the first Mexican campus.
I'm Joana Gomez from the Dominican Republic.
My name is Alejandro Montalvo and I'm from Tijuana.
I'm from Colombia, and I hope the Talent Campus will give me lots of insight into how the film market works.
Perspectivas de cómo funciona el negocio cinematográfico.
5 busy days. It's a challenge for the young filmmakers. For many, this is their first time at Latin America's most important film festival.
The energy that you feel here, the market, the great selection of films, the people that come to the festival, it's absolutely a place where you can do a lot of things.
Learning from the professionals, many big names of Latin American cinema have come here. Like veteran Mexican director Arturo Ripstein, who delivers some home truths.
It doesn't really matter what you do. In order to have a lasting career and create great works, there's one very important fundamental factor, and that is luck.
It's exciting to get so close to an acting legend like John Malkovich or an icon like Mexican actor Diego Luna.
It's the most wonderful thing we can give. If you don't give enough, then the scene doesn't live. The secret is to devote yourself to it fully.
Acting, at least for me, is above everything instinctive.
This is an assault. I have a drinking problem?
After 8 hours of the seminar, everyone's abuzz. So what do the young participants, like Mexican director Sofia Carrillo, think of it all?
I think it's an opportunity for us to keep up to date and to get closer than we would otherwise to these successful people from the international film business.
Sofia Carrillo has already completed film school. She lives and works in Guadalajara, where she also studied.
That's me and my cat. It's sick.
This is a painting by my mother, and this one is by my father.
Sofia is from a family of artists, and she and her 4 sisters still live at home. She's wanted to make movies since she was a child. Her graduation project, an animated film, has screened at international festivals, including the prestigious American Sundance Festival. Fuera de control. Out of Control is a mythical fairy tale about the loss of a loved one. It's dark and wordless, but full of emotion. For 2 months, Sophia designed and constructed the dolls for the film, which she made using stop-motion animation. She got the idea for it when her grandmother died.
For my next project, I want to do something that has to do with my roots, something that has to do with my grandparents and the knowledge of where I come from and why I am how I am. I think there's something in every culture that typifies it. Like, for instance, the spirituality or magical realism that gets spoken of so much with Mexican works. I think that's inside us.
The young talents at the campus are encouraged to honor their own stories and dare to tell them. Over the 5 days, the filmmakers also show their own works. Most of them address social issues. Like this documentary from Tijuana about the drug trade and child prostitution.
The Talent Campus is a great thing, but it means a lot of responsibility for us. Now we have to produce, go out and do our thing with even more zest. All the information we've got, everything we've learned, it's not there for us to stand still.
At the end of the 5 days in Guadalajara, while everyone is a bit sad it's over, they're also full of ideas.
It was clear that they got something out of it. They were really enthusiastic.
It's a good start for a new young film network in Latin America.
German soccer is known around the world, German comedy less so. But there's one German comedian who can fill all 70,000 seats in this Berlin soccer stadium. His name is Mario Barth and his first film just came out. Is he funny? Well, you decide.
Neulich Susi, die Freundin meines besten Freundes Hotte, die kam zu ihm und sagt, weißt du was, Schatz, ich gehe heute zum Fitness. War ihm egal, er saß auf der Couch, wisst ihr, wollte seine Ruhe. Da sagte sie, aber pass auf, jetzt kommt er. Da sagte sie, ich gehe heute hin und mache Bauch, Beine, Po. Guckt er sie an und sagt, warum, davon hast du noch, mach mal lieber Titten.
Barth's philosophy is easy to sum up. Men are primitive, but happy. His first film plumbs the depths of male-female relationships.
Spazieren gehen.
Women are complex, men are louts, so the plot is not too demanding.
Oder auch mal ein schöner Spieleabend. Eine Runde Kniffel.
It's about two best friends and a wife. That's the problem.
Given his success, Barth must be doing something right. Top of the movie charts, sold-out live shows. While some find his humor appalling, many do not.
Why he's funny? It's not really humor, it's stories taken from life. You see yourself in them.
It's also familiar. What happens in relationships. It's incredibly funny. Whatever he does is worth seeing. We'd love to see him live. Hope we can one day.
The film is a string of bad jokes and scenes of everyday life.
Der ist 45 Jahre alt.
Dafür schmeckt aber noch ganz gut. Ja.
These days in Germany, successful comedians tend to try their hand at film. What they come up with isn't always a hit. Massacre sticks to familiar Barth territory, buddies, beer and babes.
Das war mein bester Freund Hotte. Na? Na? Captain Schaumtaucher. Wie ist es? Hab ich sie abgekriegt, wa? Boah, ey, die heirate ich. Das eine. Und dann mache ich Kinder mit dir. Viele Kinder. Richtige Kinder mache ich. Kinder.
Egal was ist, du bist und bleibst mein bester Freund.
The film has not delighted all Barth's fans.
His live shows are great, no question. I've got tickets for one. But the film's rubbish.
Maybe seeing his stage show is a safer bet.
No low-class humor here, but some of the finest German movies of last year which we're giving away. We've got a crime comedy, a Bavarian Heimat film and the award-winning drama Cloud 9. For a chance to win, just write to us and give us your critique of today's show. Our email is kino@dw-world.de. That's all for today's show, but we're back in May in time to celebrate 30 years of German cinema at New York's Museum of Modern Art. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.